Okay, welcome. I put together this little training package to demonstrate some of the features and functions that are available through our enterprise fire management suite. So first thing to do, we're going to log into this. Every employee, every firefighter would have a login credentials, and what they see is based on roles and permissions. So they would only get to see things that are related to them or that might be related to their station. So that's something that would be set up in the future. So first thing I'm going to do is we're going to look for one. So we look for a particular firefighter. We punch in his firefighter ID number and up comes his records. So we're going to take a look at his firefighter profile and then we'll show how this is connected to other things. So we have here the profile, promotions, personal information, emergency contract, training, performance reviews, and time and attendance. These are just some basic ones that I put in there. You may change them or add some that you think are maybe missing. So it does contain some basic information. His account is active. That's his employee ID number if you're using them. His rank, email, how long he's been at that rank, date of hire, things like that. We go over to the promotions and we can see that first thing we notice here is that there's a photograph of him, but he has no insignia. And that's on the understanding that firefighters don't carry an insignia. They need to have their first promotion. So when we look at his promotion tab, we can see first off, he's assigned to headquarters and he was a recruit to a firefighter. And that looks like that became effective January 1st. Of 2020, so a year later he would be eligible for a promotion, and that would then trigger a report of all the individuals who are eligible for promotion, not necessarily meaning they get the promotion, but they're eligible for it. So that's what that does there, and that's a number that can be set by you. I just set it for 12 months. So we can look now here, and again, not necessarily following any procedures, but we're seeing that his next promotion will go from firefighter to sergeant. And again, just names that I picked just arbitrarily. So that looks like that's on April 4th. So come April 4th, his profile will automatically change. He'll be elevated to that level, and then he'll have all the privileges and roles and responsibilities of that position. So again, the profile here is still just showing that he's a firefighter. What I'll do is I'm going to change this. And I'm going to change the date of this just to show you what it would be if, in fact, his promotion took effect, say, on Friday past. So we'll go back there. We'll now look. His promotion has now taken effect as of April 1st. We go to his profile, and we see now that he has received his insignias. He jumped 2 stages and went straight to sergeant, and now he's here as a sergeant. He still has seniority with the company. For 5 years, but his rank seniority has just started. So he has not earned any seniority at this rank. So we keep track of that as well. Overall seniority and then the seniority at the current rank. So that's how we look at that. And these promotions can be set ahead of time. So it's not like it has to be done at the time. It can be put in and then it can be post-dated so that it would take effect on a certain date, anniversary date, or whatever the case may be. So from there, you can go to personal information. The personal information, again, I don't have a lot here. I'm not sure what personal information you're collecting, but you can collect everything that's needed in here on this particular employee. And adding those extra fields takes nothing more than a couple of minutes. Address, phone numbers, next of kin, family members, health plans, insurance numbers, anything like that you would want in that, of personal information. Emergency contact is that. It's just a quick tab to get to the person. In the event of an emergency, you need to reach somebody. This is a quick way of doing it. You can have phone number, name, email address, whatever you like. And then we got training and education. So we look at training and education, and this can be a complete list of all training that he's participated in. And there's a number of ways that you can collect this training data. For example, we've got him at level 1, level 2. So we'll put in a level 3 first aid training. And to do that, you just go to the training tab, which is here, and you complete a training record. So anybody who is a trainer would have access to this. So let's just pick some arbitrary numbers here. We select an instructor. Now, again, instructors are assigned through their HR profile. They can be made an instructor. It can be a course that they take that then qualifies them as an instructor, and then they get their name on this list. So we have an instructor. What are we doing here? This is a list. That list can be whatever you want. It could be firefighter training. It could be medical training. It could be apparatus training, hose training, whatever it is that you want to put in there. Or then you come down into the subject line and give it a more particular training as to what it is. So we're going to say that this is the this would be the level 3, the top level of first aid training. Again, I'm not sure exactly how you hold that. That could be again, that could be, doesn't have to be first aid. It could be donning PPE, things like that. So then it puts in the current date and time. So we're going to say, when did this training start? So this training started at 9 a.m. this morning, and we're going to say that it went till 5 p.m. this afternoon. So that went from 9 to 5. And then which area, it was done in Area 1, and then Area 1 would list the stations that were at Area 1. So this training, this firefighter may have went to a different station in order to get this training. I'm not sure how that works, but that certainly is the way it works here, is that firefighters can move around from station to station depending on where the training is being put on. So we're going to leave him here at headquarters, but again, as you change these areas. The other thing I want to point out is that obviously these are not correct. I don't have data currently available to me that tells me which station is in which particular area of the country. So these will all be corrected once we move forward. So now he's at headquarters, and now I can put in some notes. So participation well received. This is the information that was done. So now what I would have below here is a list of individuals that attended this training. So Ian attended that, and Mr. Link attended that. So you would have a checkbox here that would list all staff, so that you can do a search and add names that might not be there. But in particular, what this is showing is it's just showing, assuming that the training was done at headquarters, right now it's showing only the people who are working at headquarters today. So if you've got 6 people there or 20 people there, then those 20 people names would show up, assuming that you're doing training while these guys are on duty. So if that's the case, then the first thing you're going to get is a duty list. So herein you're picking from just the names of those individuals that are working that day. And then we can put in a box there that allows you to pick up other names of people that perhaps maybe they're not working today, but you want to just find them in a list. But I believe this would catch most of the scenarios. So now we do that. We just simply submit the record. And this is done from a tablet. So this would be done at the time the training is being done. Now that that information was successfully added, you can look over here now and you can see that that level 3 first aid was completed. And to view that record, you can see again, Fire Station 1, the name, the trainer, session ID, all of that information would be contained in this record here. So now we'll go back and take a look at the training, and again, the training level information is there. The next thing is the performance reviews. So performance reviews, again, you can track these performance reviews, you can grade them, score them, and then start doing aggregates as to who's below average, above average, whatever type of scoring system you want to put in there. It will tell you the date of their last performance. And so if this is a 6-month performance review or a 3-month performance review, it may be dependent on the rank. So you could get where firefighters performance review is every 60 days, corporal might be every 90 days, a sergeant might be every 60 days. So depending on what it is, you can set that up ahead of time where you can go in and you can say these are the timelines required for annual review, and then the system will automatically generate reports and send that to you and say, hey, the following 4 individuals are scheduled for a performance review in the next 10 days or the next 5 days or the next month, or it could be today. So depending on how your operation goes, that report could be generated and then sent to somebody. So if you had an individual, a certain officer that does the performance reviews, he would get a lead time notice to say, hey, the following performance reviews are required next week. And then he would be able to follow a link and go in and review the personal profile of each one of those individuals before he does his performance review. He can go in, he can check promotions, he can check education and training, he can check his time and attendance, he can review all of that. And he'll be able to then provide a better performance review. And doing that, again, coming to the performance review, once it's available, you're going to add a performance review. In doing that, you can see the previous comments that were made, and then you can just add your next performance review. Simple. Save and back. And now when we go in and refresh this record, we'll see, let's do a refresh here. On the performance review, there is that performance review that was completed by me. Now, obviously, the performance completed by is not going to be the same individual, but I'm the one that's logged in right now, so that's why it's showing my name. So it shows all that detailed information there. There are other things that you can do on this performance review. I haven't set them up yet, but there are certain things in here that, perhaps maybe we can allow some extra options that would allow you to forward this review or get somebody else's involvement, notify a captain or notify a training officer or something like that. So if this was something that had to do with, say, some deficiencies in training, in here, you could have something that would say action taken, yes, follow-up required, yes, responsibility, training department, pick a trainer, hit save. And then once you do that, the training officer would receive an email right away saying, hey, you've been assigned to review this performance review for firefighter X. And then there would be hopefully some instructions here saying, hey, we've met with this firefighter and he's identified some weaknesses in donning personal protective equipment. Could you please meet with him and review that? So the training officer would get that email, get that report. And then he would be responsible for updating it. And then again, coming back to this performance review, that captain or that training officer would then come back to this original performance review where the reviewer had recommended additional training. Then this would be updated by the trainer saying, hey, on this date, the training was done. He did a great job. He met all the learning objectives. And that's how you would manage that. So it's kind of what they call a closed loop communication, everything from the performance to identifying certain measures that need to be corrected, to then putting those corrective measures in place and then signing off on the document. So this document here would stand alone and stand by itself to say all of the details surrounding this job performance, all of the deficiencies identified, and all of the corrective measures are all recorded right here in this section here. So that would be handled there. So we can go back now. Let's go back to that profile, clicking on these links, these hyperlinks. Now we're still in the profile. And now we go to time and attendance. Now what time and attendance does is it's linked to the mobile app. So everybody would download the mobile app from the Play Store, and they would have a username and password where they would log in. And what you're looking on the right-hand side here is that login process. So when you first open up the mobile app, you're seeing a punch in. Now, this is just a suggestion. There's a number of ways that we can handle punch in. There's a number of issues that are out there that need to be addressed, and that is people punching in before their timeline, people punching in, perhaps when they shouldn't be, or not being where they're supposed to be when they're punching in. But there are other issues that we can address and address those quite effectively. But let's assume everything is running perfectly. The person shows up at the fire station. They're connected to the Wi-Fi at the station. Once that happens, then the mobile app becomes enabled because they're in fact contact in the location of the fire station. So now this is available. So what happens in this particular one is we're going to punch in and punch out. So we punch in by just simply clicking the punch in clock. And after punching in, you'll see on the left-hand side our shift got started. So here's our shift. We started at 10:49. Now, if this is a normal shift and I should have been here at 7, there'd be a flag on that file right there that says that this was a late punch in. So there'd either be a late punch in, an early punch in, early punch out, or late punch out. And then you'd be able to run reports on that. You'd also be able to set up triggers and notifications if these are late and we're watching or monitoring a situation. Certain people can be alerted to that. So now that you have this punch in and punch out, other things come available to the firefighter, and we'll cover those shortly. But right now you can see here from the profile, we are tracking everything from the profile. We're tracking promotions, personal information, emergency contact. We're also tracking all of the training. And this would be a list of all training levels completed. We could also have a list of all training levels required but yet not completed, and they would cancel each other out. And then we'd get into the performance reviews. This is where the performance reviews are. And then we have the time and attendance, which is the punch clock showing the number of hours worked in a pay period. This would have to be refined to determine what the pay periods are and whether they're weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and that would all be managed here. So that's just a quick rundown of what the firefighter profile would look like.